Iraq is not a war zone. Period. Like it is not a war zone. There is no active conflict in the country. 5, 6, 7 years ago, it was a different story. But I think, when you have, a place like Iraq that's been in the news for 20 plus years with only negative news, people tend to get that idea stuck in their mind. And then even if the situation might change, people, they will just be stuck on that idea of the place. So now, I mean, it's not without its problems like any country, but it is a relatively stable situation there. There's no active conflict going on, and it is absolutely possible to visit it. It has some of the most incredible history and most unbelievably untouched historical sites from 3, 4 thousand years ago that are just waiting there to be explored. There are no tourists in sight. I mean, relatively speaking, you get these sites all to yourself. And I think if it was not Iraq, I think Iraq would be on par, if not bigger than Egypt for the amount of history that is in the country. I mean, it is just unbelievable. And no one thinks about that part of it because it's all dominated by the negativity. But there's so much to be seen there, and it can be done safely. I have never felt unsafe there. And yeah, it's just an incredible place.
All right, with that in mind, if there's this whole world there that nobody's been talking about, that's there just sort of waiting for us to explore, I think it's important. I notice this in my own life, vacation versus adventure trips, like to keep this separate. There's sometimes when you need a vacation where you're just going to sip your margaritas and worry about what time dinner is.
Yep. Hang
But
out
this
at the
is
resort.
not that. Right. But this is not that. You've got this beautiful notion of the difference between vacations for vacation's sake and vacations versus lifelong memories and adventure sake. Talk to us about that whole concept.
Yeah, I think it like you said, it's just two very different things. Iraq is an adventure, and it is an adventure in the sense that it is so authentic. It truly, there is no mass tourism industry there, so everything you experience is the real deal. There's nothing set up to, cater to tourists. You are just in an authentic place that is doing its authentic thing, and you're a part of it when you're there. So all of it's an adventure. There's incredibly genuine moments. There's, uncomfortable moments. I don't mean uncomfortable in a bad way, but just like the bathrooms on the side of the highway are what the bathrooms are. Like, you're not there to relax at a resort. Certainly, it is just the real deal. It's incredible, and the people are just wonderful, most genuine people in the world. So yeah, it's an adventure, and it's just authentic travel.
Talk to us about what Iraqis think of Americans, because that opens up our minds very quickly.
Yeah, that is probably the number one question I get from prospective tour guests for our group trips that we do in Iraq is, oh my God, it looks amazing. Your videos are cool and the people look so nice, but I'm American, and what are they gonna say? Are they gonna be hostile to me, or am I gonna be unwelcome? Am I gonna be unsafe? And to be honest, it is just the complete opposite of that. It's really incredible because for everything that Iraq has been through with regards to the US and otherwise, every single person I've met in Iraq and spent time with in Iraq makes a distinct differentiation between whatever they may think about the US government or the West or whatever else political wise, and an individual traveler, a person who's just a person coming there with good intentions to see their country and meet them and experience all the great things about it. And so there are a lot of people in Iraq who may feel negatively towards America as an entity and the government and the history between the two countries, but I've never once felt that directed towards me. The people are just lovely and so welcoming. The hospitality there is truly built into the culture in a way unlike any place I've seen. And yeah, so they welcome everyone. And you've also got the younger generation of people who, they may have lived through parts of the U.S. Iraq War, but they didn't. necessarily come of age during it, and now they feel a real affinity to America from a cultural sense, and they watch all the same TV shows and look at the same memes and movies and things that we all do in America. And so you get there and you'll have a kid on the street quoting something from The Office or something, and it's just again like much more in common than we have differences. And also, no one expects that they would associate Americans more with that kind of cultural stuff than with the history and the war and whatnot. But yeah, the younger generation, it's interesting. You can kind of see that difference across the different generations.
And I think so what you're telling me is that they seem to have as a part of their culture separating the people from a government. I don't
Absolutely.
think we
And
do that. I think, Americans somehow, whatever the news is telling us about China or France or you name it, will kind of lump all the people in there right with the government, but they just do not do that.
right. And I think part of it is just their innate goodness and their innate hospitality to guests and welcoming to guests. But the other thing is, I think from their perspective, there people in the Middle East, I have found, are very aware of stereotypes that exist against them in the West. And so I think this is just me taking a guess here, but I think part of it may be that they're aware that they may be stereotyped negatively based on preconceptions that we may have in the West, and they don't want that to happen to them, and so they also are not going to do that to you. And so it's a really beautiful thing, because at the end of the day, everyone just treats each other with friendliness and welcoming, and you end up making great friends and meeting incredible people.
And I just want to make a point. That's what you see in Doug's videos on YouTube. You just see this wonderful, open, savvy. I mean, you're always often teaching us stuff about being savvy travelers, but you've got people that are don't want to make you pay for things because they're so kind and they want you to. In every single video, you've got somebody who's not letting you pay for something. It's the generosity is almost unbelievable.
It is unbelievable, and it's extremely kind, but I'm almost like, it's enough is enough now, guys. Like the hospitality is too much. I've been to Iraq 9 times now, and I'm telling them, like, guys, please, no more free stuff. You guys are too generous. Let me pay you for this. So it's I mean, that value of hospitality is built into the culture at its core. It's incredible.